In 2025, Spain's music market grew 13.7%. Buried in a Billboard report, that number might look like a routine data point, another stat in another quarterly summary. But stop for a second and actually think about what that means. Spain is not a developing market. It is not a scene that just discovered streaming or a country catching up to the rest of the world. Spain has a rich, centuries-deep music history and a modern industry that has been commercially active and globally connected for decades. For a market like that to grow 13.7% in a single year, that is not evolution, that is disruption. That is the kind of number that makes label executives call emergency meetings and rethink their entire strategies. And when you trace back the cause, it leads to two names every single time: Bad Bunny and Rosalia. These two artists did not simply release successful records, they rewrote the terms of what success looks like for Spanish-language music. And in doing so, they pulled an entire market forward with them. Bad Bunny, redefining what crossing over even means. Bad Bunny's rise is almost too wild to believe if you did not watch it happen in real time. A kid from Vega Baja, Puerto Rico, bagging groceries, uploading tracks to SoundCloud, building something in a corner of the internet that the traditional gatekeepers of the music industry had no framework for. His sound did not fit any existing box. His aesthetic did not match any template they were comfortable with. He was blending reggaeton, trap, and Latin pop in ways that felt chaotic from the outside, but felt completely natural to anyone who understood where he came from and what he was drawing from. And then the industry blinked, and he was not underground anymore. He was everywhere. Every chart, every conversation, every phone, every club, streaming at numbers that made people check whether the platforms were broken.
Before we get into it, welcome to Celebrity Talk Show Room. If you're new here, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. We cover the stories that go deeper than the headlines. Now, let's get into it.
What Bad Bunny did that almost nobody at his level has done before is stay at the top without losing the people who were with him at the bottom. That is the hardest thing in music. Blowing up is one thing. Algorithms can make anyone blow up if the timing is right. But staying up, keeping credibility with the streets while selling out stadiums, making music that still feels honest and dangerous while your face is on billboards in Times Square, that is something else entirely. That is the line that separates artists from superstars. Bad Bunny did not just stay on that line, he moved it higher every year. And Spain felt every bit of that momentum. Spanish audiences, Spanish streams, Spanish ticket sales, all of it moved because he moved. Then there's Rosalia, and if you think her story is just a compliment to Bad Bunny's, you're missing half the picture. Rosalia came out of Barcelona with a background in classical Spanish flamenco, already an outlier in a pop landscape moving rapidly away from roots music. But she did not simply bring flamenco into a modern song and call it fusion. She went deeper than that. She studied every element of the form, understood it from the inside, and then rebuilt something entirely new out of those pieces. Her early work stopped serious music people in their tracks. Her breakout album stopped the whole industry. And then came Motomami, and something happened that is genuinely difficult to put into words. That album broke every rule and somehow made every rule feel beside the point. Critics who had spent years building frameworks for evaluating music had to throw those frameworks out and start over. Fans who had never listened to anything in Spanish were streaming it obsessively, not fully understanding why, just knowing they needed more of it. Rosalia had made something that existed outside of genre, outside of language barriers, outside of the usual categories the industry uses to sort and sell music. And when something like that comes out of a place, it changes how the world sees that place. For a long time, Spain occupied a complicated position in the global music conversation. The country had produced extraordinary talent across eras and genres, but the cultural exports traveling the furthest were consistently coming from Latin America, from Puerto Rico, Colombia, Mexico, the Caribbean. Spain was sometimes an afterthought in those conversations. Rosalia changed that permanently. She put Barcelona on the map in a way that felt new and irreversible, and she positioned Spanish music as something the most critically respected voices in the world were debating in the same breath as the most commercially dominant forces on Earth. When critical prestige and commercial momentum move in the same direction at the same time, markets grow, numbers go up, 13.7% up specifically. But here's the thing. The industry report cannot capture, the thing no percentage can fully explain. The growth in Spain's music market is not just about streams, sales, and tour revenue, though all of that is real and significant. It's about something that happens when a culture stops being a supporting character in someone else's story and starts writing its own. Bad Bunny and Rosalia did not just sell music in Spain. They handed the entire Spanish-speaking world a permission slip, proof that you don't need to sand down your edges, water down your language, or compromise your sound to reach a global audience. You can be from exactly where you are from, sound exactly like where you are from, sing in the language you grew up speaking, and still make the entire world lean in. That message is worth more than any marketing campaign any label could design, and the ripple effects are still spreading. Right now, somewhere in Spain, there's a producer in a small studio making something that wouldn't exist without the trail these two artists blazed. There's a young singer recording on basic equipment with a confidence in her own voice that she wouldn't have had 5 years ago because she watched someone from her world stand on the biggest stages on Earth and refuse to be anything other than exactly herself. That's the invisible part of the 13.7%. The growth that doesn't show up in quarterly numbers yet, but will show up in the next generation of artists coming out of Spain and the broader Spanish-speaking world. The kind of growth that compounds, the kind that doesn't stop. What makes this moment defiant? The global music industry has been through seismic shifts for years. Streaming transformed how money moves, how audiences form, and how long a record stays relevant. In that environment, many traditional markets have seen their influence plateau or shrink. For Spain to post 13.7% in that context is not just impressive, it's defiant. And it was driven by two artists who understood the new world of music better than almost anyone else, because both Bad Bunny and Rosalia treat the internet not as a tool, but as a native language. They understand how culture travels in the digital era, how a sound can move from a small room to every corner of the world within hours, and they used that understanding to build something no amount of traditional infrastructure could have built for them. Growth like this never happens by accident. Behind every market explosion, there's always a story, always a force that pushed the whole thing forward. In Spain in 2025, those forces have names. They have voices you recognize whether you speak their language or not. And if you're watching where music is going next, where the conversation about being simultaneously global and local is heading, then you're watching Spain right now. Because after a year like this, after numbers like these, whatever comes out of that market next is going to demand your attention.